start the recording, and we can start the meeting. All right. Thanks everyone for coming. Let me get the intro here. Saturday, June 16th, Apple Cider Q&A meeting hosted by the JCC. We've got a question.
Okay, this is an email I get about a return, so it's a credit. So here it is. So when I go to print it, and I go to page 2, it doesn't give me the bottom, the total.
Yeah.
I tried reducing the scale. It's driving.
Part of the problem is it's not an email, technically. I can't quite see it.
Okay. It should be.
Well, no, it's a PDF in an email. So this is not really an email message. It's a PDF file embedded in the email message. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's not a PDF. It's a web page. And web pages don't print very well. So what may happen, let me see, if we try doing a print, and there's an option for headers and footers. So you often have to print the headers and footers to get web pages to work right. But I don't see it in this option.
Would it be under this, up in the settings?
No.
Under the preset?
No.
No.
Some web pages just don't print.
Okay.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay. See, if it's a shorter one.
The length doesn't matter. It's how that web page is defined at the other end.
Okay, because if there are some that prints the whole thing.
Sometimes there'll be a button that will have a printable version, but I don't see that. Sometimes there's a button that says view this on the web instead of trying to view it in an email. Let's see if we make the window smaller. Does that make any difference? Nope. See, if we don't open it in a new window, sometimes if we put it right in its existing window. Nope. I'm surprised it doesn't have the print header, because it's an email, not it's an email that thinks it's a web page. In an actual web page, you'll often get the header and footer options.
Because, what I do is I do like print and then save it as a PDF.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you see all these stars, some of them are shorter here, and you'll see that it'll print the second page.
Sometimes if you pick a different printer, you get different options. But you have 2 HP printers, so you get the same options.
Oh, that's the other ones in Buffalo.
Yeah. We could set up a local printer here, but that probably wouldn't matter.
I mean, because it's...
Why is it switched out of there? I must have hit a button accidentally.
If you go over one of these others, say with the tan thing, it might be a shorter one.
Yeah, the length doesn't matter. It's how that page is formatted at the other end.
Yeah, but wouldn't they be formatted at the same?
Nope.
Oh, from the same place? No?
No.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. If we tell it longer paper, still doesn't work. So you may have to go to their web page and look at your account that way to see the order tracking, and that may work better.
What happens with that is that when I print it, it's like got all of the gobbledygook code on it.
Then you're missing a setting in the print too, in there, to print the code rather than execute the code.
So where is that setting?
That's somewhere in the settings, yeah. Okay. Not the setting, well, the print settings. There's a button I can't get out of. There we are. So if we sign into your account, and let's see if we can find it that way.
Okay, so if you go under...
If we go to your orders.
Yeah, which is really, be glad you're not married to me.
Yeah. Is it this?
Yeah, well, the returns aren't on there. These are things that I've...
Okay,
okay,
so
but
you're
just
looking.
go ahead and do file print on that. Say I wanted to print that copy of the order because they didn't have it.
So we have to look for a printable version button.
I just
and
go
they
up,
don't have
and
one.
I just go up to file.
Yeah, but you can't print websites very well. They're not designed to be printed.
See,
and there's the headers and footer option I was looking for, because a website will print the headers and footers if you want it to. But it looks like they don't have a printable version button. So they in essence, they don't expect you to print it.
Okay.
So you're limited to print whatever they allow.
Yeah, and it's interesting because sometimes if I do print like that because I don't have a copy and it's the same item will be on there 5 times. It's really weird.
Yeah, because web pages aren't designed to be printed.
Okay. Gotcha.
Many times there'll be a button that says print. This website does not have a printable version, so you cannot print it properly. So all you can try to do is print what it will do and hope for the best.
Okay. Okay. Well, I feel better now because I just thought there was something. Yeah, I didn't know, but okay. So
yeah.
I got it there. Thank you.
Yep. So that's kind of a limitation in the web. Wasn't designed with printers in mind, because screens and paper have different dimensions and different aspect ratios. And so printing a web page is difficult. And so many websites will have a special button that says print that generates a printable version, especially for orders or things like that.
Yeah, so if I print a Macy's order, it prints right out.
Yeah. So from a different company, you get better print options. There are some third-party programs that claim to print web pages better, but
see, how would I know that's a web page?
Because it's not text. An email is just text. That's all you can put as in an email.
Oh.
Anything other than text is a web page, or an embedded image from a web page.
Okay.
Let's see. So if we try to Google print a web page, there are companies that offer web page printing. A different browser may work better. Firefox or Chrome might have different options than Safari. Now here's a website that says just give us another website and we'll format it for printing. But then you have to give that website your order information. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, I'd rather struggle along with that.
There's a browser extension that may work without.
Oh, like a Safari extension?
Yeah, so this one's called Print Friendly. I don't know if that has to load the button in. Oh, we lost the picture again. Something about this projector. We don't have problems with the projector. Let me try the HDMI port. The projector at the school, we don't have these video issues that we have been having here. All right, so I'm going to disconnect the VGA.
Okay, so here,
and we'll connect the HDMI. Let's see if that works better.
So I assume if it's a Safari extension, it's trustworthy.
No.
No.
It just extends the functionality of Safari. It doesn't have anything to do with trust.
Oh, and it doesn't have anything to do with Apple, right? Well,
right. It's a third-party company that made a function for Safari. All right, so this isn't a Safari extension. This is a bookmarklet. So they're not even advertising it properly. Let me see how my audio is doing.
I'm afraid to do anything.
Yeah, that's it. You can't. There's no way to know if the one you're getting is trustworthy without looking up reviews, but oftentimes reviews are faked. A company will put out a program and then hire people to give it good reviews.
Yes. Well, so, even like Amazon, I think sometimes they give or certain places give product to people, you know, if they review it.
Amazon doesn't do that, but companies do. The company that makes the product will do it. And so there's sort of an issue that you want to give them a good review so they give you more free stuff in the future.
Okay. So here's Evernote Web Clipper.
Yeah, if you use Evernote, you can use that.
So that's okay to
that's a plug-in for Evernote, so you have to be using Evernote.
Oh, I don't even know what Evernote is.
It's a note-taking program.
I need to live with you. And then there's this 1Password security, but that's not the same as the keychain, obviously.
Right, that's a different company. 1Password is a different company that does a password manager, similar to Keychain, but 1Password is cross-platform. So if you have Android or Windows devices, you can also use 1Password on them as well. So that's the one advantage they generally have over Keychain, is that they work on non-Apple devices. Yeah, so I'm finding different programs that say they work, but I don't know any of them offhand. Most of them are saying the website should provide that for you automatically. It's easy to make a print style sheet when you're designing a website, so the other end is doing it wrong. And we don't want to give a third-party company access to your email, so we don't want to do that. Here's a possibility. Is there a reader button? So in many websites, let's see if I zoom in on it here. Many websites, there's a reader button. And if you hit that reader button when you're in the website, you get a relatively clean page that takes away all of the extra stuff on the website, which then often will allow it to print better. Let's see if that website has a reader button. Yeah. And open up one of your things you want to do.
Oh, okay, so my orders. It would be, I mean, here's the orders, so.
And there's no reader button, so they don't have a reader version either.
Okay, so it's up here. Okay.
So that website is doing all they can to prevent you from printing it properly.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so you're pretty well stuck to just the regular print command. But that doesn't give you everything you want because that website is built wrong. It's not built to be printed.
Carolyn Rick said they were coming.
They usually come about 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's print web pages. Let's see what that offers me. It's an Apple tech support. That's probably just yeah, that's just print, and that's how you print. Let's see. Computer World has an article on the best must-have extensions. Let's see if they have something for better printing. Let's search for print. No. So that's one of my annoyances, that I searched for printing in Safari, and this article was found, and the word print is not anywhere in that article. So they must have faked their, well, they have optimized their search engine prioritization so that they get listed high on a search, even though what you searched for is not in their page. Let's see if Apple has a print extension listed themselves. No. In the Mac App Store now are the print exceptions. And if I search for print, I bet it's going to find me any app, not just Safari apps. Nope, and I just lost my window for the stream. Let me fix that again. Okay. Got to remember not to close the window when I have the stream running. Yeah, so I can't search extensions in the App Store. I just have to look through them all.
Open your search.
That searches the whole store, not just extensions. So sometimes if there's a reader, that works, but that page doesn't have a reader, so we can't use that. What you could try doing is emailing their customer support and telling them, I'm trying to print my receipts, but they don't print right.
Yeah, I will. Actually, I will. I have to. So if that doesn't apply to every web page, though, correct?
In essence, yes. Every web page will have trouble printing unless the company that designed the web page has a printable option to make that page printable.
Yeah, like I print a lot of stuff off Consumer Reports, and they've got the little print button. So.
Yep. All right, So let's look for just Safari add-ons. Eurosmart's print. No, that's only from the iPhone. Safari Magic for 20 bucks. Nah. Oh, and that's
So buy like the Adobe PDF. They have different things. Is there any one of those that you could buy, or any PDF?
Well, Adobe has a PDF reader. Apple has a PDF reader built into the Mac called Preview, so you don't need the Adobe PDF reader.
Okay.
There's several other PDF readers. There's a popular one called Foxit, especially on Windows. But generally, you don't need a third-party PDF reader on the Mac because the PDF reader is built in. I have seen some PDFs that are like a fillable out form or a fill-outable form, a form that you fill out that will only work with the Adobe Reader. The problem becomes then you have to worry about managing the Adobe Reader and worrying about the fake Adobe update messages. So if you don't have Adobe Reader, you can just, excuse me, if you don't have any Adobe products, you can ignore any Adobe update message because you know it's fake. But if you install Adobe Reader, then you have to worry about using Adobe Reader and updating it when it needs to.
I do have Adobe Reader.
And PDF is a very, what we call extensible file that you can put live code in a PDF. You can put web links in a PDF. So there are what we call maliciously crafted PDFs that will either can crash your Mac when you open it, or there are maliciously crafted PDFs that have malware in them. So you think you're opening a PDF and it's really a malicious page that then can install other malicious software.
One thing that annoys me is if I save something as a PDF and like the lines are cut off, that I try to adjust the percent so that, you know, or even to get less pages, you know, because the margins are.
Yeah, and that goes back to web pages weren't meant to be printed. All right, so here's a couple. Most of these extensions are for Chrome. But there's that print friendly again. I keep seeing that print friendly. Safari. Display your favorites. Drag the print friendly. Yeah, so that's not an extension. That's putting a web page. So when you go to the print friendly web page, you can put in a web page. So if you were just printing regular web pages, this would probably be okay. But since you want to print, order information, you don't want to give that to a third-party company to format it for printing. They're probably not going to do anything with it, but it's safer just not to do it because you can't be sure what they're going to do with it. So this looks like it's actually a JavaScript. Let me throw it up here for a minute and see. So we get a printer-friendly web page. So if I let's see if I can look at the code for that. So if I go to a different page and hit this, can I look at the code? It is a JavaScript. Okay. So if we look at the code, it may not be sending your data to the other end. It may just do everything on the local computer. Trying to see if there's a URL in here. I don't program in JavaScript, so I don't quite know everything how the code works. If it's pulling anything from the other end. Yes, it is. So it's pulling the JavaScript from the other end so it doesn't have to load it into your computer. So it's possible the other end can see what you're doing. So I don't know. So I wouldn't trust I wouldn't trust this for order information that could have, you know, someone else gets your order number, they can call the company up and say, I want to change the delivery address.
Well, right. And actually, my name and address are on those.
Yeah. Yeah. So they say, here's my name and address. I want to change the delivery address, and then someone else gets your stuff. That's how a lot of the fake shipping emails work. You get an email that claims to come from FedEx or UPS and said there's a problem with your delivery. Click here and give us a new shipping address, and say, oh, I'll ship it to my office, so someone will be there to receive it. But it's a bad guy, and now they have your shipping information. So then they really call FedEx and say, change the shipping to the bad guy's address.
Speaking of that, I have. Okay, this is all my junk, and I know it's junk, but sometimes there's I know to
check the address. So yeah, that did not come from iCloud, so that's obviously junk.
Right.
If you point to one of these buttons, it's probably, but don't click, just point to it. Yeah, it will. There you go. It should pop out. So that's not going to Apple either.
Yeah,
So that the company it's going to, their web page has probably been hijacked by bad guys. So it's a level of anonymity that the bad guys use by using someone else's computer, someone else's internet.
Well, I get a lot of them from Google though, and then
Yeah, they claim to be from Google because they know Google is such a well-known name that they can trick people into thinking it's really Google, and when it's not.
Yeah, because I usually assume if it goes into the junk that it's junk.
Pretty good chance, yeah. Although every now and then you can get good messages end up in your junk folder, so it's not a bad idea to look through it every now and then.
Well, I do look through it every day, and the other thing is things that I've unsubscribed to, still send back, but they go in the junk. Here's one.
You can mark them as not junk, and you can add the sender to the address book, so then they should not get marked as junk in the future.
Oh, but I don't want to look at. I don't want them now. Like some of them are stores my granddaughter. So I unsubscribed, but they ignore that. So I don't know how it knows to go into junk. Maybe I told
the junk filter learns itself what junk is, and it has rules about what it thinks junk is.
Now here, incoming voicemail. WhatsApp, it's called. WhatsApp message.
Yep. So that's obviously junk because it would have come from your WhatsApp app. It wouldn't come to your email. Every now and then you can get accidentally put on a really offensive junk mail list and start getting porn ads in your mail.
Fortunately, I haven't had that. Windows was.
Every now and then a junk mail person will get arrested for sending spam junk mail, and then there'll be a decrease in spam for a few weeks until someone else takes their place. So, and then after that, there'll be a surge in junk mail because people took over the other guy's job business. So it's like when a business goes bankrupt, all those people go off to somewhere else, and try to do the same thing again.
Well, speaking of that, you know, the bond time that they go up in, well, I put this in junk mail because it was from bond time and it said, understand bankruptcy, blah, 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 and if you agreed to participate in the survey. So I clicked on it like an idiot, and then there was nothing there. So I did put it in junk.
Yeah.
So now would that have exposed me there?
Well, not necessarily. If we point to the click here, let's see where it's really going. See, now that says research.com. So
right. I did look at that.
You could think that would be a real research company. So that's kind of tricky to know. Most of the time when you go back to a malicious website, it's already gone. Because Google and Apple, you know, the Safari browser, Chrome browser, there are lists of known malicious websites that and usually within a few minutes of a site coming up, it will get taken down by either the company hosting it or by some other search result finding it malicious, so it gets taken down. So a lot of times, by the time you actually respond to the message, it's already gone, and so you clicking on the message mistakenly can't hurt because the website is already gone.
Yeah, like all these weird. So there isn't really any other than junk. There isn't any way to block these.
No. So there's no real way to block junk. You can mark them as junk, and the program learns a little more about what junk is. You can put
let these build up because I was going to ask you about.
Yeah, you can. Lost my train of thought. You can create a filter to block a certain address from sending you junk, but most of the time, you never get junk mail from that address again because the bad guys send a billion messages and then don't use the address anymore. Yeah. Or they will when they're harvesting email addresses to send mail to, they'll use one of those messages to send the mail from. So just like a postal letter, you can put any return address you want on it. The junk mailers do the same thing. So they'll use someone else's return address. And so trying to report abuse to that doesn't work because it's not really who it's coming from. And then all the error messages for mail that couldn't be delivered come back to you because they happen to use your address to send it from. So there's very little you can do about stopping junk mail other than you can change your email address until the junk mail starts happening again. But what we're seeing is the email providers are doing more junk mail filtering at their end and trying to cut down on the amount of junk mail you get to begin with. But some of the messages are getting really well written, and so you think there's a possibility that it's real. There was a cute a video that went viral this week. A police station got called by an IRS scam, claiming that unless they went to the Apple store and got $8,000 worth of iTunes cards, the police were going to come and arrest them. Let me do speakers. So here's the cop.
We have to go some kind of verification process, and the guy that
He asks if I can just send you a check, and you say, well, no, because that'll take too long. You have to do it in 45 minutes, or we're going to come and the police will come and arrest you. And so the policeman says, really, the police are going to come here and arrest me?
Yeah. Right. At the police station.
Yeah, at the police station. So it's kind of funny to see what happens. Apparently, it's happened before.
I have one of those IRS ones on a voicemail.
Yep.
I've had a voicemail. I thought, well, I didn't know if.
Yeah, because it was tax season, that there was an upsurge in fake IRS phone calls that people get tricked by because they're all in a panic about taxes anyway, and they don't want to have to pay fees, so they call the number back. The IRS says on their website that we don't call you, we send you letters.
Right. I didn't know. I saved it, and I thought, well, I wondered if there was some, but because they changed the phone numbers,
Yep.
My thought was that I could help that, the IRS, but uh,
so reporting the phone number it comes from does very little good because the bad guys use fake phone numbers.
right.
They'll use phone numbers in your area code and
Yeah.
even your exchange to
Yeah,
make you
like
think
the cell
it's somebody you know. Yep.
Yeah, so I just don't answer anymore. I figure if it's really for me, they'll leave a message.
Yep.
But now this is interesting. I had trouble with a bird. Every single day, a bird's trying to build a nest over my front door. I mean, this went on, drove me insane. So I brushed the stuff down anyway. I looked up online, and I said that they don't like owls, and so I did get an owl at Home Depot. But anyway, all of a sudden, Google, in my Google Gmail account, under Pinterest, are all of a gazillion things about emails I'm getting. So how did Pinterest, which I don't even know I have that even, know that I was looking up owls?
So the basic question is how does a website know about other websites? Yeah. So she was doing a search for owls, and now she's getting a lot of Pinterest pictures on owls. When you go to a website, and all right, so let me even do a search for an owl. Let's do an owl figure. So putting like a scarecrow is supposed to scare crows away from your crops. Putting an owl figure around your house will often scare away other animals that owls prey on. And when you go to a website, there will often be a Facebook like button or a Pinterest pin button.
Maybe this, because what I did is I printed out a picture from somewhere of an owl to put, and I taped it to my front door. This was before I could get to my house.
Maybe, yeah.
So that must be how.
And so because there's those buttons, so like here's one for Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter on this picture of an owl. Those companies, and it was something Nick talked about at the internet privacy, those companies know you went to this website because they have a button on that website. And so that sort of bypasses all of the cookies that people were scared about, cookies reporting on me. They don't have to use a cookie because there's a Facebook page. So if you didn't specifically log out of Facebook, say, or Pinterest or Twitter or whatever, the last time you were finished using it, you could still be logged in. And then the button is active. So even if I don't click the Facebook like button, Facebook already knows I was there because it loaded the code from that website and my Facebook ID is still logged in somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? One thing that's happened to me recently, and I'm very careful about. Well, it's just for example, Chico's. If I go to log out, then I just get a blank Safari page, and it says nothing really. And then if I click back, it takes me back to Chico's again, and then I'll try logging out again. Sometimes it works, or sometimes I can't get back there. So I immediately then I close Safari and get out of there. But
so it sounds like that specific website, in addition to not being able to print very well, their sign in and sign out buttons don't work well. One of the things you can do is always run in private browsing. So private browsing prevents websites from storing a history, from storing cookies, and will, in essence, forget everything you did in that window when you close that window. And so it makes it a little bit safer going from page to page to page, because websites can't always then tell.
After I'm on there and websites,
then you would close that private window, and it should forget everything that you did, and not save any of that cookie or history, and keep your data from that page from leaking into other pages.
Okay.
So in Safari, that's so instead of Command N for a new window, you can do Command Shift N to make a new private window, in order to help hide what you're doing. Or not hide what you're doing, but limit it remembering what you're doing. Yeah. So that's also one of the caveats of like a public computer. When you go to, say, a library, always log out of whatever you were in and close the window. Use a private window, so the next person who sits down at that computer can't hit the back button and get back into your account.
Oh, I see. I never knew that.
So the private window doesn't do much to protect your privacy from websites you go to, but it does do a lot to protect you from other windows open in your browser, and from we originally called it porn mode, so that it protects you from your spouse seeing what web pages you went to.
Yeah, I used to look that up a lot.
Yeah, but it also is a neat way to be able to get a little bit of privacy in the browser from other browser windows. Let me see if there's a way to always use private mode. There might be a preference. Yeah. So in the Safari preferences, under General, you can say Safari opens with a new private window, and new tabs open. Opens with a new private window. So every time you open Safari, you get a private window.
Okay. See, I have new windows open with home page.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people like their windows to open with their home page, because that's the page you go to start with. Okay. Generally, that's a search engine. And Safari automatically does a Google search with whatever's in the whatever's in the address bar. So by telling Safari to open it with a new private window, then you can just type your search, and it will be a private window anyway. So that would be Safari opens with a private window. That way, when you launch Safari, it automatically gives you a private window.
Oh, the other thing I've had just recently is I'll be on I don't know, website, and then I'll get a message that says this website is using a lot of power.
Yeah, energy shaming. So you're getting, especially on a laptop, you'll get reports that websites or whatever app is using a lot of power to let you manage your battery usage on your laptop. And so that's sort of been nicknamed battery shaming. And hopefully the companies that write software that's especially power hungry will do better in making the apps use less power. Sometimes it's just not possible. So on my computer, it's telling me that my OBS, my open broadcast system, is using a lot of power because I'm streaming video to the internet.
Right.
That's a pretty power hungry thing.
Right.
And there's very little it can do to not use a lot of power. But especially on a laptop where you could be running on battery, that's a nice thing with the ability to do that.
But in all these years, it's just all of a sudden I've seen that message.
It was a new feature added a couple of versions ago.
Oh, okay, because my immediate thing is I don't trust it. So okay, I'm glad I asked you that.
Let me see when if we can find out when they changed or added that feature. We can call it energy shaming. So they added it in iOS.
Oh, what did you say today about MacBook battery?
10.9. Looks like they might have added that energy shaming icon, but they added now. It was later than that they added more.
Would it have been the? Oh, okay.
Apps using significant energy.
Apple warns you when you're just.
Yeah, but when did they add that feature?
2000.
Probably in Safari, in I'm sorry, Sierra.
Okay.
So somewhere around 1011 or 1012 Sierra.
Okay.
And they also lower the display brightness. So if you have your display brightness turned up too high, you'll get an energy shaming that your display is too bright. Because the display is the other thing. So here, I turn my display brightness up. So now it's warning me that my display is using a lot of energy. And it is. It's almost too bright for me. I usually keep my display about half to 2/3 is bright enough for me. So yeah, that feature came out in 1012. Yeah, there was an Apple repair extension on was it 13-inch batteries?
Oh, okay. So I have a 15.
Yeah, 13-inch non-touch bar has a battery problem. And there was another one too.
Oh, you know what? I have a cord. It sticks in my.
Yeah, that's called strain relief. So the cable wears out over time.
Right.
And so what Apple has done is over the years they've made this heavier rubber a little longer and a little longer and a little longer. So basically you're tugging on the cable near the power connector and that wears it out.
Right.
We wish they would make that heavier rubber the whole length of the cord, but that would make the cord heavier and probably cost more.
Yeah. I just don't. I don't get like this. You know how. Is it good? To wrap.
Mm-hmm. Generally, what the intent was is that you leave the long cord plugged in at your desk at home, and you put the duck head on it when you're carrying it on the road. But I keep my long cord plugged in because I never know how far away from the outlet I'm going to be.
Yeah. Well, actually, I have two because I have one at my desk. I get tired of unplugging it. And then if I want to use it
Yeah.
Like my bedroom. So I think I got my money's worth out of it.
If it's less than a year old, or if you have Apple Care on your computer, that could be covered under warranty.
No, my computer's 2013. In fact, I don't even know what is this. Oh, I see that the touch bar you keep talking about.
Yeah, so I've got a 2016 model that it's got a little screen and a touch bar here, so I can jump between my different tabs, um, and I can't touch there. It's models. So models without the touch bar have a battery problem.
Okay, and then obviously the pad is bigger.
Yeah, the trackpad is bigger on the newer laptops. We can go to checkcoverage.apple.com, and you can check. We can put in your warranty to see if it happens to be under warranty, or if you still have Apple Care.
I know, but I think I got it initially, and then
Yeah, if you go to the Apple menu and choose About This Mac, it will tell you what model number it is and what model name it is, and the specs in the computer. But it won't tell you when you bought it.
Yeah, it just says 15-inch Retina, 15-inch, early 2013.
Right, but you could have bought it in 2014.
Right, but I did buy it I think in March of 2013.
So we can put in our spec serial number, and this also tells you what model name you are. And in my case with this laptop, our warranty has expired. So if you still have a warranty in effect, it can tell you if that warranty is still in effect.
So do you generally get extend? Can you extend Apple Care? I can't remember.
No, Apple Care, and they've changed the rules a little bit now. You have to get Apple Care in the first 60 days of purchase. And you can't extend it beyond the 3 years that it does cover your computer.
Well, that kind of makes.
Well, yeah. The older a computer gets, the more likely something will break. So I can understand them not wanting to extend Apple Care again. It would be nice if you could. What's kind of interesting is in some European countries, um, they're legally required to have a 2-year warranty by law. So in the U.S., there's only a 1-year warranty on manufacturing. So Apple only has to provide a 1-year warranty. We wish they would provide a little longer warranty. But one thing they've done with the new Apple Care Plus is that it also covers accidental damage. So if you drop and break your computer, that would not be covered under warranty. But with Apple Care Plus, it is covered under incident fees, they call it. So instead of $700 for a new screen, it's $99 for a new screen. So it's a greatly reduced price for service repairs. And any other damage is $299. So it's significantly cheaper than repairing an accidental damaged computer. Plus, it still gives you 3 years of hardware coverage. But there's no way to extend that again beyond the 3 years.
Okay, so instead of 99, so how much more does it cost than the?
So for example, if you happen to break your screen, you're probably looking at $700-800.
Right, but the Apple Care.
Apple Care itself is what is it? 269 for a 13-inch and $369 for a 15-inch.
It's the Plus.
Yeah. On an iMac, it's only $169, so that's a really good deal. That 27-inch screen to break is really expensive.
Yeah.
Although it's not likely an iMac is going to break its screen unless it jumps off the table.
Well, or you're moving or something.
Yeah. Laptops tend to be carried around a lot. That's why they tend to have a higher repair price.
So what about the phone? Does the phone have the
same thing on the phone? Apple Care Plus for phones are available as well.
Because
for the iPad and iPhone.
I know that if I get a phone, I'll come to you for the Apple Care.
Yeah, a lot of the carriers will sell their own insurance. which often tends to cost a lot more than AppleCare does.
I think I pay $10 a month, I think, for Verizon.
Yeah, Verizon's insurance we've heard is $10 a month. So over 3 years, that's $360. Apple's price is $99.
But with Verizon, if you lose your phone, or is there a difference in the coverage?
Yes. Verizon's payments are much higher than Apple's for damage costs. Apple doesn't cover lost phones because you, in essence, can't lose your phone because you have the Find My Phone feature.
Right.
So if you misplace it, you use Find My Phone and find out where it is and go get it.
Because so one time I had dropped it in the water, but it then
that becomes hard. If you drop it in a lake and it sinks, you can't get it back.
Well, no, I got it back, but I was afraid I'd ruined it. But a friend said, "Well, you have that Verizon coverage. They are obligated to just give you a new phone, right?"
Well, they repair the phone, yeah.
They don't just give you a new phone.
No, they don't just give you a new phone. They'll repair your current phone.
Okay.
Or they might give you a refurbished phone that they've already fixed. So that which is usually what happens because that's faster. So they give you a refurbished phone. They take your phone into some repair center somewhere and fix everything that it needs fixed, and then put that back in the refurbished channel for the next person that needs a replacement phone.
Okay. All right. So that's really the difference between the AppleCare and the. Well, what does AppleCare do?
Well, AppleCare has the same sort of replacements, but it's much cheaper. So AppleCare is cheaper to buy initially, and the damage replacement costs are much cheaper as well.
Okay.
It doesn't cover lost phones, just damaged phones.
Okay. Yeah, well, I've never lost one so far.
Yep. And you can also look into an electronics rider on your homeowner's insurance. The big thing there is the deductible. A lot of times it's like a $500 deductible. And especially for a phone, that's more than a phone replacement would cost for a phone repair. And then you always have to worry about, as soon as you file an insurance claim, your insurance rates will go up.
Yeah, I wonder how many of those how many is that for lost phones? You think?
I don't know. We tend to recommend all of our customers get AppleCare, just to have that peace of mind that for 3 years, if anything goes wrong, either a mechanical failure covered by warranty, or accidentally dropping and breaking it, or spilling. We see a lot of computers come in with spills, and the way the laptops are built, you spill onto the keyboard, it goes right into the main logic board, which is just under the keyboard. And that can be a very costly repair.
Yeah, no, I did have that when this was new, and I have an iMac that I don't know if I could. That's older than this. Yeah, but the phone though, I didn't because I didn't realize it, and I got the Verizon, and but I wouldn't do that again. So I just have to figure out which phone. I figure out if the 10 is complicated for me.
Well, they try to make the phones easier and easier. The 10 is different enough that without the home button, you've got to learn new gestures. And I have an interesting problem that I've got my iPad and my iPhone have the fingerprint reader, but my iPod doesn't. So whenever I try to log into my iPod, I forget for half a second that I can't just use my finger and I actually have to type the code.
You know what I did notice is that when I set up my iPad and my phone, I didn't really pay all that much attention to exactly how I put my thumb there. So it doesn't always.
You can go into the settings and delete that fingerprint and put a new one in and do it better.
So a lot of times I just have to enter the code. But I thought, well, next time I would pay more attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was talking to somebody the other day. Oh, I was at the dentist, and he said his wife got the 10, and she just had. Oh, I think it was somebody else. Whatever. They had their face recognition done with their glasses, but then sometimes it wouldn't recognize them with the glasses. They had to take their glasses off.
Glasses can be tricky whether they're on or off, and so the face detection is supposed to learn better. So if it doesn't recognize you and then you type the code in, it learns, well, that last thing that failed must have been them. I'll add it to my list of
Okay.
allowable.
See, I my interest.
But you don't have to use the face recognition. You can turn that off and just use a code.
Okay.
Yeah.
The real screen size.
Right. The real advantage of the 10 is you get the bigger screen size. So it's nearly the screen size of a Plus, but the phone is the physical size of a standard phone.
Right.
And so that's what a lot of people like, that bigger screen size. There's a lot of rumors that the iPhone 11 this fall, likely, there's going to be a Plus version of the 10 with an even bigger screen. So there are some people that like really big screens.
Well, the Plus is heavy.
Yeah, the Plus is physically big and heavy, but some people like a bigger phone. I don't want to, I don't want to generalize, but I'm gonna. Uh, Men generally like the bigger phones.
Well,
they have a bigger hand. Yeah. What's interesting is women have a purse, so they can carry the bigger phone in their purse, and not necessarily care about how big the phone is. But you may have a smaller hand, and it's harder to use because the phone is bigger. And there was a lot of um, stories in the press about how the iPhone 10 won't sell very big because it's $1,000. But Apple said in their latest quarterly report that the iPhone 10 is the highest selling iPhone every week for the last quarter. Out of all the iPhone models, the iPhone 10 is the best selling, mostly because people don't pay outright for the phone.
Right.
So for example, let's go in here and I'm going to pick an iPhone 10 and say I want to buy it. So you don't have to pay full price up front for the phone. And so if I say buy without a carrier, and I'm going to choose the black one because I just want to. So the 64 gig model is $999. The 256 gig model is $1149. So that's what you pay up front out of pocket. If I go back and say I'm going to put it on a carrier, so I'm going to go to my T-Mobile and say black. Now I've only got to pay $50 a month, or $56 a month. So here, 64 gigs is $49.91 a month. 256 gigs is $56 a month. So for what is that? $6 a month extra, I can quadruple my storage. Yeah, okay, I'll take that. So now it's only $50 a month to get an iPhone 10 with a huge storage. Sure, I'll do that. I don't care that the phone itself is $1,500 when I'm done, because I'm only paying $50 a month.
Right. I thought it was even Verizon.
It can depend on your plan and your carrier. We've found in our office that T-Mobile is giving us the best plan. Oh, and actually, this is from Apple. Prices if you buy it from Apple with that carrier. So different carriers may have different plans, but generally speaking, we have found that T-Mobile has the best plan prices and good enough coverage here in Rochester. We haven't had to worry about it. Although I did just read about a new Sprint plan. The Sprint and T-Mobile are merging, and I just saw that Sprint was offering a new plan, $15 a month, unlimited, which is interesting because their website is $60 a month. So what website did I see that on? It might have been Stop the Cap.
this fellow I was talking to at the dentist, they just switched to T-Mobile because they've got 4
There it is.
phones, so they got the buy one get one free.
Oh, it's expired. Yeah, so a lot of the carriers will do a buy one get one free, and then there's another carrier doing a commercial for that where they have a lawyer standing behind the lady doing the air quotes every time she says free. It isn't free; it's a credit on your phone. So you pay on your bill. So you pay up front for the free phone, and then they credit your bill in a couple of months, or they'll give you a $50 credit every month instead of you paying the $1,000 for the phone.
All right, so I just logged into my Verizon. It says know who's calling. So you can get Verizon caller ID at block unwanted calls based on risk and silent spam. Enroll now, and the first month is free, and then it's $2.99 per month thereafter.
So Verizon is offering a plan to help you manage spam calls and block calls. I would say that should be built in for free to the phone.
But I just block it on my phone once I know it's a spam call. I just add it as a contact and block it.
Right, but the problem there is it's unlikely that you get another call from that same number again.
Right. Well, then if I had like 50 of them, and then I just like deleted and I restarted.
I'm trying to skip.
So it says know who's calling.
So Verizon Call Manager. So it's an additional service they offer. So Call ID has been going back a few years, you used to pay extra for caller ID. And then Call ID was standard, but Call ID plus name, you would pay extra. So if you wanted to see the number and the name, you pay extra. Now that's standard. So whatever this new feature is, in a few years that will probably become built-in standard. So every time they add some new feature.
Oh, so are they saying if it's a number that's not in my contacts, it will tell me who's
calling? Probably. Well, it will tell you who that number is associated with, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the real person calling because of the fake phone number spoofing.
Okay, so my estimated device trade-in value is $82. I don't want to do that because I give my phone to a friend who.
Yeah, a lot of people will trade in their phones when they get a new phone, and you can get a little money off your purchasing a new phone. But a lot of people will also pass the phone on down to a family member instead of.
Actually, initially I kept it in case I just whatever. But this is a friend. In fact, I was going to call Jackie because the friend that I'm going to bring for the iPad. First I was sick, and then she was away, and now she's just had a death in the family. Anyway, we are coming, so okay, filter by.
So I can't find that specific offer on the public web page to see what they're offering you that would be worth the $5 a month.
Or $3, I guess. Okay, so
here's a report that Verizon is charging you for that, and T-Mobile and AT&T give it away for free in their plans.
Okay,
so that's how a lot of carriers will differentiate themselves. They'll find out one carrier is charging for something, and they'll give it to you for free.
Okay, so for right now, I could get the 64 gig for $42, and the 256 is $48 a month.
Yeah, so for $4 a month.
No. Oh yeah, okay, 42 to 40. Yeah.
You get quadruple the storage in case you need it. We find that most people tend to fill whatever storage they have. You keep taking pictures, you download videos.
Okay, so this 10 has the is it that it has the glass on both sides?
I think the 8 and the 10 do.
But you put a case on it.
If you want to, there's sort of an interesting argument that you want to put a case on it to protect it, but then that adds weight to the phone, and it means you can't see how pretty the phone is.
Oh, someone did tell me they put one of those zag screens.
Yeah, at a minimum, I would say you'd want like a screen protector film, so it doesn't add much weight, but it does give it a little bit of protection.
Okay, and then I have to buy a new charger thing.
It comes with a charging cable.
Oh, okay.
But it also has a wireless capability, so you can get a wireless charging dock, which it's not. Yeah, it's not exactly wireless charging. You don't have to plug it in charging, but that doesn't roll off your tongue as well. So you have a charging disc that you do plug in, and you set your phone on the charger to make it charge. Excuse me. So you don't have to plug your phone in to charge it.
You have to put it on there.
Yeah, you just set it on the pad.
But can you plug it in?
Yeah, you can plug it in. Okay. I think it charges a little faster if you plug it in.
The other thing I was wondering about my car, I guess it would work with my car.
Yeah, it still has the lightning connector, so it'll work with everything that the lightning connector currently works for. It still comes with ear pods. And you get a USB power adapter. So the wireless charging kit is separate.
Now, do you sell any of those?
Yeah, we sell a lot of the accessories.
Okay, so I would not buy.
Apple did announce, what was the name of it? Air Power? They did announce a wireless charging charger. September 2017, they announced it, and it's designed that it will charge 3 devices at a time. So your phone, your watch, and your AirPods. They haven't released it yet, but it was announced in September 2017. So hopefully they'll release it this September with the new phone. The HomePod was over a year from initial announcement to release. So what's interesting is the charging mat. Let's see, it still says, yeah, it doesn't say when it's coming, just coming soon. Available 2018. So, well, at least I've got a year on it. So you can charge your phone, your watch, and your AirPods at the same time by setting them down on one mat. But that charger itself gets plugged into the wall. So it's not technically wireless charging. It's you don't have to plug it in charging. What we sort of hope eventually is that there will be true wireless charging. So there'll be a wireless charger that you walk into a room and your phone starts charging, because the charger is broadcasting power, which was Tesla's big invention in his early days. He had wireless power, and there are videos of his lab. Let's see if I can find it. where he picks up a light bulb and carries it to another part of the lab, and it stays lit because he's got wireless power in his lab. It wasn't until Westinghouse said, well, how do you make any money with that, that they went into selling copper wires to transmit electricity.
There's I think it's on National Geographic, maybe. There's a series about Tesla.
Yeah.
And I started watching it because when I heard the Tesla, sometimes I just have the TV after noise, and then I'm associated with the car, and then it really is interesting, his history.
Yeah. So Tesla was demonstrating wireless power transmission in 1891 at Columbia College. What is that, 125 years ago?
Yeah.
But companies can't make any money with wireless power, so that's why they sell you the wire. So TV and radio are wireless transmissions, but you pay for, in essence, you pay for television by watching the commercials. So even what we call free TV, you don't have to pay to receive the broadcast channels, but you pay by watching the commercials.
Yeah, I've got to come down, and I'm going to bring my spectrum bill because I have two of those boxes, those little that I pay for. Like one's in my guest room. I hardly, my grandkids, they hardly ever come.
The problem of increasing human energy.
Yeah, so Spectrum is charging you $10 a month for each TV box. We're hearing different reports from some customers where you get one box free for a year. Some are getting more than one free for a year. Some didn't get any free boxes.
Yeah, see, I didn't. They because let's see, January 2016 when they installed it, and they said I had,
Yeah. So for those TVs that like the spare bedroom, places you don't need TV all the time, you can get an antenna.
Right.
And
yeah.
And not have to pay that $10 a month.
And you have those.
Yep. We sell the antennas.
And I don't even know. Okay, so my phone bill is $69 a month. I have.
Which isn't too bad compared to what they used to be.
You guys, you should have come to the presentation last Wednesday on cutting the cable cord. It was
thank you.
very, very well done.
And
he went over, those are the slides, he went over all the, the different.
Yep. We've had a couple similar presentations at the CIDER meetings too.
Yeah. You know what? I had a dentist appointment for my thing. Anyway, I came
more fun thing.
But I listened for about 15 minutes in the adjoining auditorium because it was standing room only, I guess. In the
maybe I'll do it again.
Yeah, one of the fellows that came to the CIDER meeting.
Yeah.
Had attended.
And
he's the one that told us that it was going to be on the web.
These slides you can access through the Tech Age website, but maybe they'll run it again because really it was very informative, and I had seen the slides beforehand. It was nice to go and just, I have to hear it.
Yep.
Do you have any more of these?
You can download the PDF from their website.
I was gonna, Sarah, my therapist, I had told her, and then Joanne, my trainer.
Oh, Joanne, yeah.
And I said, I'll.
Well, hopefully they'll run it again, and I think.
Yeah, I could just,
And I think he may have done that program at the Pittsburgh Library, and I think the Arundecoit Library was interested in having them do it. So they'll maybe do it again.
Yeah, on the main Tech Age website, scroll down a little bit, and there's slides from cutting the cord. So you can, you can download them.
It's too bad it wasn't the whole a video of it.
Was the thing? Oh yeah. Well, it was an hour. Well,
But yeah, but he did a lot. I mean, a lot of his
It was
talking.
like an hour and a half, I guess. Long.
Let me see if I can find
Because actually I was
our last video.
glad the gentleman in our class mentioned this because I had John's email from one of the classes I took from him, and he had sent something out, and I was going to email him to ask him. So yeah, because now what we've learned that they're going to start because of the net neutrality thing. They can charge for if you have Netflix, they're going to charge you for it.
They could. We don't know if they are
Right.
yet.
They could.
And we don't think they're going to do it anytime soon because they don't want it to be the public outroar.
They want to wait until you forget about it.
Yeah. So the February CIDER meeting, we had Phil in doing cutting the cord.
Right. Yeah.
Look, he's been in three or four times.
I was going to look up and see what he had said now.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed Nick.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, his Ask Nick. I don't know if he still has it.
He does it. Yep.
I was on, on.
Yeah, he doesn't do many questions much anymore. He's more doing news, but he's planning to get back into it.
Yeah, I did that for 5 years. I belonged to that.
Yeah. The nice thing about having the cutting the cord type meetings is that every time you do it, there's new choices.
Yes. Oh, and one thing after that meeting, I saw one of my friends on Facebook. He said, who lived in Irondequoit, mentioned green light. She said, if you live in this area.
Yeah, there are several areas around town that have green light fiber, so you get faster internet for cheaper.
Yeah,
yep.
Enough people, like she said, yeah. Trying to get people to.
Sling TV is a really good option for a lot of people. They've got 3 different packages plus their a la carte. For $20 a month, you get the most common channels, 30 channels, or $25 you get 45 channels. So you can end up getting the channels you want for less money than what you may be paying for with the current your current TV subscription.
So how does that come through?
Comes over the internet.
Oh, okay.
So you have a box that plugs into the internet and the television, and then you can watch all of these TV channels over the internet.
Okay, so now I have my own router and modem. So
yep.
On my Verizon bill, there's no Wi-Fi charge. It's probably built in the thing.
Right. They should not be charging you for Wi-Fi if you have your own Wi-Fi router.
Oh, okay. But I don't know which of these. I have so many. I don't know which thing it is to unplug it like that, reset it like that. Yeah.
So one of the things that Time Warner and other cable TV providers do is they'll give you 200 channels for the $50 a month. Well, a lot of them are repeats. So you've got the standard definition and then the high definition version. And so that doesn't really do you any good. And there's a lot of channels you don't want.
You don't want to put things twice because then you put it at both.
Yeah. Yep.
I did the same thing. And then the other thing is that it's very confusing the way they have the the guide. Or like there's this menu box, like the guide and network channels or whatever. Sometimes you'll get on where they're listed alphabetically, but then you want channel 10, say, and you put it in 10 and it won't go there because you got to exit out and go to the guide. I mean, maybe it could be operator.
And Amazon has one called Amazon Channels. And so they have a lot, trying to find what channels they offer. So if you already have Amazon Prime, you get a lot of Amazon TV channels already. Here we are. Here's a list of. So one of the things that to do to start all this is start keeping a diary. Keep a notepad next to the um, next to the chair you're in. So you recline, yeah. So write down the networks you watch, write down the TV shows you watch, and then you can see which of the streaming packages offers the channels that you want to watch. And so these are the channels offered by Amazon, and some of the extra channels you can get from Amazon. But every service is a little bit different, and so you have to look at what channels you watch versus what service they offer. Rick? I don't know. I didn't notice. Where is the video size? Yeah, resize. All right. Want it too small or too large? Or that's good. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to sit in the back row. We did talk on sound bites earlier about streaming plans, and there was a PC Magazine review of the best streaming services, and I think they had a list of the comparison channels. There we go, PC Magazine. So they like DirecTV Now, which it's ironic. It's satellite TV you get over the internet without needing a satellite antenna.
You don't need that dish anymore?
Nope, we do everything over the internet. And I think right now they're offering a free Apple TV as, in essence, your set-top box when you subscribe for at least 3 months. Sling they like, Hulu. So Hulu and Netflix, and now even Amazon are doing first-run content. So I've been watching The Tick. That's only available on Amazon. We wanted to watch Lost in Space. That's only available on Netflix. There was another one we found the other day that's only available on Hulu. And so the thing to be aware of and keep in mind is that by the time you subscribe to all the different channels, right, it could be more than your current cable TV bill.
Except you can't necessarily.
Right, you can't necessarily get some of the channels. Star Trek is only available on CBS All Access. So one of the tricks is you wait for the season to end, pay the $6 for 1 month, binge watch it, and then cancel it.
Okay. Yeah, well,
And then do the same thing with the other series. Now, one of the interesting things about Netflix is they don't do week to week series. They put all 20 episodes of Lost in Space came out at once. So, but Amazon, they do week to week. So you have to wait for the series to be nearly over. Then you can subscribe or go the free trial, and then binge watch it and cancel. Fubo, never heard of that one. Oh, that's a sports one. So live sports is one of the trickiest ones for streaming. ESPN has a couple of sports streaming services because they're the big sports networks. But it looks like there's one called Fubo that does a lot of sports TV. And a lot of time your sports games are on the broadcast channel, so you can get to that with an antenna. If you have a PlayStation or an Xbox, they both have free, or not free, they have streaming TV services. YouTube is an interesting one. See, is YouTube TV available in Rochester yet? Let me see. Rochester. Available locations for YouTube TV. MNOPQ. are Rochester. Yes, so YouTube TV is available here in Rochester. So that's getting TV, traditional TV channels, but not. So YouTube TV isn't YouTube videos; it's TV channels. So it's another source for TV channels. Yep, it is available in Rochester.
Check out our available networks.
So here are some of the channels that are offered. So a lot of times it's pretty much all the same channels you get on the cable anyway. And you get different sports networks too. In different areas, you can end up with different sports networks. So let's see, how much does that one cost to sign up? Pricing, $40 a month. So that's a little more expensive than Sling, but it may have more channels. It may have the channels you want. So that's why you got to keep a diary so you know what channels you want and what networks you watch.
Well, I have to keep a notebook now of what I watch on Netflix because I can't remember if I've watched it or how it'll say because you watched.
Yep.
It'll give ideas, and then some of them will be like I must have started to watch it and then stopped for some reason. So I don't know if it was because I didn't like it or because right at time.
I use an app called TV Showtime, and I just got a warning that my battery in my AirPod is dying. So let me bring my other AirPod online. Okay. Input from this AirPod. And TV Showtime is a neat app. Let me see if I can find a screenshot. That basically gives you you search for TV shows that you watch, and you tell it if you watched the episode or not. So you get a list of episodes. Why don't they have the video? Well, that's pretty close. You tell it what TV shows you watch, and it gives you the episode list, and then you can tell it each episode as you watch it. So that helps you keep track of what episodes you watch. So then in 2 weeks, you come to watch another episode, you can look at your list and see which ones you've already watched.
So is that for other than the regular TV? I mean, is that episodes for Netflix?
Yeah, pretty much any show that you would traditionally have watched on TV. Yeah.
Okay.
So the definition of TV show is really expanding because there's a lot of TV shows we don't actually watch on television.
Right. Yeah, because I'm a big binger.
Yep. I find I can't watch more than 3 or 4 episodes in a row of a specific show. I have, yeah.
Well, the thing is, you know how it just rolls into the next episode. So, and I do like Netflix because you can pause it.
Yep. AI is the new buzzword, or machine learning. Yeah. Yeah. So in the traditional sense, AI is short for artificial intelligence, and in all the science fiction shows, it usually means an intelligent robot or an intelligent computer. And there has been what we call the Turing test. I think Elijah's built into Emacs, I think. The Turing test, named after Alan Turing, one of the grandfathers of machine computing, basically was a test to tell if your machine is intelligent. So the idea is you have a keyboard and you're typing questions back and forth, and if you can't tell if the other end is a person or a computer, then that machine is intelligent. so far, we haven't really got there, but there was one that was close. Recently, it was supposed to be what was it? A kid from South America. So part of the giveaway is awkward grammar, and so the idea was that English wasn't his first language, so any awkward grammar was because of that, not because it was a machine. But Eliza was one of the very first. Yeah, it's built into Emacs. Is one of the very first Turing type machines. Let's see if I can find a web version of Eliza. Yeah. So it was basically a psychiatrist.
Yeah, it just kind of repeats back the stuff that.
Yeah, what is psychiatrist? So how does that make you feel? So hello, oops, Eliza. I'm Steve.
A few months ago that was actually quite good.
Yeah.
What was funny was after I was done talking with it, I actually felt better.
Yeah. So I said, so I like what it asked me. Did you come to me because you are Steve? Really?
You should say yes.
Yeah, let me say yes. Short one-word answer, and let's see what it says. I see.
Uh-huh.
So just like an actual therapist, they don't tell you anything. They wait for you to spill your guts.
That's right.
How does that make you feel?
You know, when there's some tragedy and the news people are asking the crowd or whatever on television, and they ask those stupid questions, how do you feel? I mean, it's absurd that they would even ask that. I mean, how are the people supposed to feel? Is it just in a bombing or whatever?
Yeah,
it really is annoying.
When you fell on that last test, what were you feeling at the time?
But they ask the sports people the same thing.
Yeah.
They just failed at the Olympics,
I can't say that word on television.
They always ask them right at the end when they're so out of breath they can't even talk to anybody.
Yep. So AI is getting resurgence back in the news because of what's a little more accurately called machine learning, where you give a machine enough information and it can make conclusions based on the information, and it can mimic intelligence. So that was always the questions about if you have an artificially intelligent machine, how would you know it was intelligent and just not mimicking it? So the assistants we have now with Siri and the Echo and Google, you can ask questions and get answers mimicking what a human assistant would do. They don't work very well. You got to phrase your questions just right. But all the companies are talking about machine learning and what it can do for them and why you would want to do it. And one of the things we keep running into is unexpected consequences, where collecting all of this data together generates something we weren't expecting. Um, Oftentimes for bad. The Cambridge Analytica mess, where they were able to collect data from 50,000 people and were able to extrapolate that because of the friends and friends of friends into 50 million people. And then suddenly they had buying habits and shopping and location data and all this extra stuff by being able to collate all this extra information together. So it's a potential issue, and I heard a great thing from on a podcast. Several industries isn't the right word, but they've gone through these moral crises. So chemists went through a moral crisis when dynamite was invented, for example, chemical explosives, uh, um, um, chemical warfare, nerve gases. do we recognize that what we're building could be used for evil or for bad? And then in the physics community, nuclear bombs. A lot of the scientists that worked on the Manhattan Project said that they did it because they didn't want the Nazis to do it first. And there were several people, Einstein even tried to petition the president at the time not to drop the bomb because it would be immoral. We shouldn't do this. And so now in the computer science industry, we haven't really had this issue. So the fear is that the first time some big catastrophe happens because of machine learning, there'll be undesired, unknown, and unforeseeable consequences, and something may change because of it. So we're kind of seeing that in the self-driving car arena, that every time someone is hurt in a self-driving car incident, there is a backlash against self-driving cars. And was one state, was it Arizona, banned self-driving cars because someone got killed. Well, 50,000 people are killed every year in real driving cars by real people. So why aren't they banned?
Mostly, a lot of them, I had just heard that a lot teenagers.
Yeah, teenagers and texting. I think Mythbusters even did a series on texting is worse than drunk. When you're drunk, at least you think you're driving well.
Well, yeah. Or you're looking at the wrong
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. And so every technological advancement has had unforeseen repercussions. There was a great video. Let me see if I can find it. Mitchell and Webb. What was it on? Bronze Age. So, yeah, there we go. The Bronze Age. It's 3 minutes. Let's play it. Nope. I want to play it through the speakers. All right, pause. Volume up. Output is internal speakers. Go.
Redbeard, do you think if I finish chipping this flint by a time when sun is hottest, you could get it tied to a stick by a time when we all get hungry?
I don't think so, Big Feet. You're forgetting. Today we've all got to go to clearing where we go sometimes, from time when cricket shut up until time when we go back to our huts.
Really? What for?
It's Bronze Orientation Day.
Bugger. I'm so sick of hearing about bronze. Bronze, 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 bronze. What's wrong with stone? Does stone not work all of a sudden?
Well, they say that bronze will revolutionise the way we hunt together.
Well, maybe, but I can't be dealing with it. Horrid, shiny stuff.
Guys, this is Hairyback from Tribe in the Valley, who have lots of jewellery all of a sudden. He'll be leading our Bronze Orientation Day. Hairyback, this is Big Feet and Redbeard, our foremost chipper and tire.
Oh, great. Well, you're exactly the kind of people I need to get through to. And my message for you is this. Don't be afraid of bronze. Really. Unless, of course, someone is attacking you with a bronze axe, in which case you should be afraid, because bronze is brilliant. Meet bronze. Bronze is your friend. Bronze is user-friendly, multi-purpose, exciting, zeitgeisty, and most importantly of all, it's slightly shiny. Every day we're finding new uses for bronze. Bronze plates, bronze cup, bronze hats, bronze shoes, even bronze windows. And bronze doesn't even need to be chipped. So, stone is dead, prepare for the age of bronze. Thank you. Yes, you have a question.
Yeah. When you say bronze doesn't need to be chipped, right? My question is, doesn't it?
No. With new modern smelting, old-fashioned chipping is a thing of the past.
Because I'm a chipper, you see.
Right, well, I won't lie to you. Chippers, as a breed, are going to go the way of the saber-toothed tiger. No, I mean they're going to be extinct. But have you thought about retraining as a smelter?
No, I haven't. I mean, smelting may be fine for the lads, but I'm no smelter. And while bronze may be terribly clever, stone was all my old dad ever needed to feed a family of as many hands as I have, and then more than that. I just say, as a tribe, why don't we leave the bronze to the smart Alex and the whiz kids, and we'll just carry on using stone axes like we always do.
Because if you do, the tribes with the bronze axes will kill you, and then take your stone axes, and then throw them away because they're rubbish.
Oh.
Yes.
Will the bronze still need tied to sticks?
Oh, yes.
Cracking.
So his job is safe. So every new technology. What's the first time someone invented paint? I bet the charcoal people were all upset. But yeah, so it's the latest machine learning, AI, the latest buzzwords. Google and Amazon were talking about it a lot, and then Apple in one of their keynotes said, yeah, we've got it too. So they got the core ML, so the core machine learning is built in to the OS, so you can do machine learning things yourself. There have been some interesting machine learning incidents. There was a Microsoft Twitter bot. Yeah, in a couple of hours, the Tay bot, people turned it into a Nazi by feeding it bad things. It became, in essence, a racist jerk. So that was interesting. There was a report about a Facebook Twitter, and a Facebook bot, that two Facebook bots were talking to each other and created their own language that yeah, here it is, that no one else could understand. So because computers can do everything so fast, generational changes can happen in minutes. So what would take humans 100 years to go through 2 or 3 generations, a computer can do in minutes. And so they no, we'll close that. They think that these two chatbots who were talking to each other started learning how to talk even more condensed to each other, and people couldn't understand what they were saying. So that that's often in science fiction, that's often called the Frankenstein complex. That whatever we build will turn against us and try to kill us, because that makes a really good story. And then Asimov, in his 3 laws of robotics, to try to prevent that from happening, most of his stories were about what happens if someone figures out a loophole in the 3 laws. And in one series of stories, we had to create the zeroth law.
I think that if AI really existed, it would be transmitted on radio, and it would have arrived here a long time ago and taken over. So it probably isn't out there.
We're probably safe. Marvin Minsky from MIT had the AI lab at MIT, and they've been working on, in the recent past, a couple of years ago, they've been working on AI for what, 50 years now, and haven't quite got there yet. Yeah. Generally, what the AI researchers have tried doing in the past is trying to make computers work like a human brain. And what is it? How many billions of connections are assumed in the human brain? If we just could make a computer like that, that would be smart too. Yeah. And so the new research is basically saying, we'll let computers do what they're best at, and we don't have to make them work like the human brain. We'll just create an artificial brain that can do things its own way. But so the science fiction trope is we want the intelligent computer, as long as it doesn't run amok and kill us all. But Hal had a good reason. righty. Any last questions?
See you in September.
See, yep, our last meeting, Q&A meeting for the fall. So we'll be back in September. Next month is our picnic, and I have to fix that when I get home. I got to fix the Buckland Lodge. Got to make sure I have the right address for Buckland Lodge.
I think that's the right street address.
But when I bring up the Google map, it isn't.
I don't think that's a number. That number is...
Yeah. We'll figure that out. Buckland Lodge. There's a lot of Buckland Lodges. So there's Buckland Park.
Oh, that's the park. Yeah. Buckland Park is the park with the lodge in it.
Yeah.
Oh, that is 31, 13, 41.
That's the right place. So that's the right address. It just doesn't look like.
It's between Westfall. No, wait a minute. It's on Westfall
It,
between Whitten and
Clinton, yeah. It just doesn't look like the right place because it's not showing all the parking lot.
Right, it's probably the address of the entrance.
Yeah.
And then there's,
If we bring up the satellite view and see how that looks. Because you have to weave and work your way through the parking lot. Yeah, so the red thing is the address. The actual lodge is down here at the bottom. Yeah. So you come in on Westfall Road, and you have to go through this parking lot and go down this other big road. So you get down here to the lodge. So I got to move the pin so it shows this lodge. Yeah. Even though that's the right address, the lodge is back there.
Well, last year was the first time I was there, but I did, that first building confused me.
Yeah, a lot of people go to that first building, which is a shelter, not a lodge.
Say no one's there.
Yeah. Or there's somebody there that isn't us.
Can you actually get all the way back there with your car?
Yes, there are two parking lots back there.
Yeah.
In fact, the parking lot that is closest to the lodge is pretty small. So get there early if you want to park there. Otherwise, you got to park at the on the other side. Bring a dish to pass. And the club provides meat and drink. I guess that's all of us are doing that. Yeah. All righty. So thanks y'all for coming. We'll see y'all here in September.
I'll see you next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday for the board meeting. Yep. And we need to get together so I can show you how to do the MailChimp. So if you want to do it, or if I want to do it for next month, but for the meeting announcement, yeah. All right. So I'm going to change this back to the CIDER page. So when my broadcaster stops, it will be the right screen.
Are you coming to the board meeting?
No. Maybe I'll join you afterwards. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. So bye-bye.